You're good.
All right, call the meeting to order. Number 2, we're going to discuss, possibly approve the minutes of April the 12th, 2022. Call for motion.
Motion.
Second. Any discussion? All right, call for the vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Know of no petitions from the audience, so number 4, mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do my normal sales tax totals and evaluation. This reporting this month, $961,420.02 is the second highest ever that we have logged in sales tax revenues. When you combine that with the use tax revenues to date, then that comes to $10,515,574, which, by the way, to date, if you compare that to the same time last year, those combined receipts are up about 9% from where they were this time last year. When you annualize that number, that brings us to $11,471,535, which is about 9% up from the projection from last year as well. So those receipts are very good. Y'all have any questions at all about that?
So we're up 9%, and the cost of living is what, something we're around 11 right now?
Depends on
What you're talking about?
yeah, it depends on which source you read. Sometimes they say 8.5%.
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll say upwards to around 12%.
Okay.
But so are those receipts up because of inflation? Yes, they are. Are they also up because of increased retail sales? Yes, probably so. So as far as I know, that's going to be some of both. I did put the combined cash investment report on your desk there, and I'd like to draw your attention to a few of those pages. First of all, draw your attention to page 5, and you can see on page 5 that $6,281,373.62. That's year-to-date actual of monies that have come into the general fund. Now, if you'll go over to page 14, you'll see the totals of the general fund, and that last line there on page 14, net revenue over expenditures. You'll see that our net revenue is in the hole over our expenditures. All right. If you go back to the previous pages, and if you look at the percentages on that right-hand column, for instance, go to, let's say, page 11, and you'll see, for instance, on the fire department office supplies, we'll just take that as an example, item 5031. You'll see on that percentage column, well, they've spent about 315% of that line item. Okay, and so if we're doing so well in taking the money in, then why are we that far under what our revenues have been? It'll be because some of those line items are overspent, and that always happens when you budget. When you look down at the bottom of that, for instance, the fire department, and we're not picking on the fire department, we're just using it as an example. If you looked at percentage, it's 76%. they've spent 76% of what their budgeted items are. And we're about 83% through the year. So budgeting is not an exact science. It is a real good guide, and we're required to do that. That's what we do. So anyway, I like to go through this combined cash investment report and try to use it as a guide. Next month, when we meet budget personnel, that'll be the time when I present the budget, proposed budget for the next fiscal year. And this report is something that I use all the time to evaluate. A few other pages I wanted to draw your attention to. Our street department, if you go to page 26, street department's done just an awesome job of following their budget, and that's on page 26. And you can see that they are net revenue over expenditures for the year, $305,000 net revenues over their expenditures. Now, bear in mind, the street department is a different fund than the general fund is. But that's an example of how the street department's done. Also, if you can go to capital outlay, which is on page 37, that's the 44 account. And that's one that I've watched really close this year. We are at 58,000 net revenue over expenses in that fund. And we've been able to spend out of that fund and accomplish some of the things that we've set out to accomplish. And we have been able to keep that fund well in line. Another item that I would bring to your attention would be the rec center on page 62. Page 62 there's just one item there, and it's the net revenue over expenditures. And you'll see that the net revenue is in the negative 327,831.20. We knew that was going to happen because we budgeted to do some repairs and to take monies out of reserves to do some repairs. So that's the reason why you see that that number that way.
That roof took a big part of that, didn't it?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. Roof took $260,000 of that.
Mhm.
And then there were some other repairs we also budgeted. So, do you have any questions at all for me about the budget or about any of that?
Do you
Wanted
see
to-
the new budget for next year, do you see it comparable to this? Are there any big differences that you anticipate, or?
We're allowed to budget 90% of the previous year's revenues is what we're able to budget. So for fiscal year 22-23, we'll be able to budget 90% of what this year's revenues have been. Since our revenues are up, then we'll have a little more flexibility to budget in our departments. What I almost have all of the budget pages done. I almost have that completed. Did not have that completed by today, and so because I have it almost completed, what I plan on doing is getting with each of you individually over the next month, and to sit down with you individually with the budget that I'm proposing. That way, you're not hit cold with it at a meeting.
Mhm.
And so to be able to go through it, and for you to be able to have some questions, to be able to evaluate it appropriately, I think is the right thing to do. So
Okay.
Darla, anticipate setting up a few of those meetings with Brianna and Choya and with Lori over the next month. So perhaps that meeting a month from now might not be a marathon. So, are there any other questions?
I don't have any at this time.
Okay, take that, take that home with you and look at it, of course, in your spare time. I've got a whole lot of spare time. Take it, look at it in your spare time, and don't hesitate to give me a call, okay?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, number 5, discuss possibly recommend council action to approve hotel motel tax grant application for Lake Area Softball Association in the amount of $7,500 for repair of concession building. Entertain a motion.
Motion?
Second, discussion. Okay, so this is a grant. And the way we've got a list here that basically breaks it all down. And who are they applying to for the grant? I'll put it that way.
So they're applying to the Hotel Motel Tax Allocation Board.
Okay,
They have made that presentation
Mhm.
to that board, and then that board has sent it to you.
right.
Has sent it to you for discussion and perhaps approval to send it on to council.
Okay,
So Canberra Field, or SoCup,
mm-hmm,
Her name is Fields now.
her name is Field
Yeah.
now.
That's what her email is.
She came to me a few months ago, said, we need help with softball. And I know this is late, and you can't do everything we need, but we're getting started, and we have a new organization,
mm-hmm,
and I'm heading up the organization, and said, will there be monies somewhere to be able to appropriate to help us?
mm-hmm.
So I encouraged her to go to Hotel Motel and to ask for a grant. So she has gone through and she has covered her bases fairly well and has gone through the processes. And that grant, the grant grant amount that Hotel Motel recommended is the $7,500. So what they do is they'll go through and they'll get things done. They'll bring receipts back and they'll offer those receipts then for reimbursement
Mhm.
of those funds.
How much money's in that account right now for
It's
hotel?
in
motel?
there, it's in your packet. Their budget is in your packet.
Okay, what I was asking is how much is in the city coffer in the Hotel Motel?
Yeah,
And just a second, I'll give you that. That's always one that's not on the, you have to go in and you have to find it.
okay.
But that's all right, I'll find it for you. Here it is.
What page is that on?
Would that be on page 50? Balance sheet is on page 50, and there's a fund balance, fund equity of $97,176.
All right. And of course, Christmas and things like that come out of this too, doesn't it?
Right, look over on page 52,
Yeah.
and those were the items that we awarded from Hotel Motel this past year.
Mm-hmm. So we actually have 12,000.
Yeah, so there's plenty of money in that allocation fund to be able to extend that grant.
Okay.
And they've been busy about doing some repairs, and then they've listed those items there
Mhm.
in your packet.
Right. And it probably has needed it for years.
Yes. So I admire their spunk about getting in and getting things done, and also coming through some processes to ask for the grant.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? Any questions?
Nope.
All right, call for a vote.
Seaver,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes. Any unforeseen business? I know of none, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
Any call for a vote?
Call for a
Shropshire.
vote. Yes.
Seaver,
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's it. We have adjourned.